8th meeting of the 71st term of the Baltimore City Council is now called to order. We're going to ask anyone who has a cell phone to please either turn them off or put them on vibrate. Tonight, invocation will be led by Pastor Sheridan Todd Yeary of Douglas Memorial Community Church. After the invocation, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor.
Shall we bow? God of grace and God of mercy, we gather in your presence to acknowledge your goodness and kindness toward us. Thank you for the blessings of liberty and freedom. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you for the servant leaders and their commitment to be ambassadors of goodwill. We come together as the electorate and the elected to do work in the wintertime, recognizing that the hope of spring is tied to the work that is done in the winter, and the work that remains is great. Yet in our desire to do good on behalf of all Baltimore citizens, we recognize that the good we desire depends on the diligent work we will do in these days in this chamber. So we ask thy blessings upon these servants elected by the people's will. Give them the courage to confront the challenges that would hinder progress and limit our aspirations as a people. Let cooperation overrule competition so that the debates that will be held in this hallowed chamber might yield legislative results that serve our city's best interest and the greater good. May these public servants' work bear witness to both the opportunity and the obligation of public service. Bestow the holy gifts of wisdom and compassion upon them all, that their efforts may exemplify the highest principles of compassion and justice on behalf of all thy people. O God, may the work done in this chamber be noble and righteous, so that when the springtime comes, the perennial blossoms of goodness and justice might confirm the sacrifices made now in the wintertime. This we ask in thy good and holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Thank you. Over in War Memorial. Oh, it's going on now. He's being sworn in, but it hasn't happened yet. Okay. Thank you, Reverend Yeary, for the invocation. The clerk will call the roll of the members.
President Young, Scott, Curran, Henry, Middleton, Mosby, Welsh, Costello, Clark. Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight's showcase Baltimore presenter is Leslie Mallory, who is going to talk to us about hand dancing in Baltimore.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Mallory.
And I am Louis Neal. I would like to tell you a few things about Baltimore hand dancing and our Fred Astaire. I've danced since I was 12 years old, 1962, born and raised right here in Baltimore City. Watching my parents dance, my mother and father, it was a dance which consists of two people, man and a woman, and it was from the swing dance era. The first dance that came about was, to my knowledge, Lindy Hop. After Lindy Hop, there was Jitterbug. I'm sure you all heard of Jitterbug.
Okay, we're going to do it after.
Oh, you haven't heard of that? Well, your parents may have heard of it. So from there, it evolved down to hand dancing. Hand dancing started off with my sisters. Now, I have 7 sisters that taught me all the malfunctions and how to lead and follow. Because as a male, you have to learn how to lead and follow. I mean, you have to feel exactly what is a woman feeling about this typical R&B music. Before my time, it was jazz and blues. By the time I got to maybe young adult, it became R&B, which consists of the same. So while dancing, it brought much joy to my heart. And it was a good way to release stress, keep me mentally balanced, and at the same time keep me physically in shape. And it's a very social gathering when you hand dance. You get to meet a lot of different people. And for the men that can dance, you get to meet a lot of gorgeous women. So it became so much fun till it became competitive. Out of the competitive mode, I did block parties in the 60s. Did a lot of things down Cos Beach. Y'all heard of Cos Beach? That's where James Brown used to come, everybody. Okay, let's go a little bit further. Instead of Cos Beach, let's go to North Avenue. Odell's, remember Odell's? Pascal's, Vulcan Blazer. All those places where we dance at. And if I didn't mention all the places where we did hand dance, please forgive me. Now, there were a lot of hand dancers out there, some forgotten and some not forgotten. Some have left earlier before us, but we still remember them. They set the tone for a legacy of dancing in the city of Baltimore. And there are different syncopations to our dance. And people wonder why. How is she spinning like that? Why is he happy? Why is he smiling? Because it brings joy to your heart when you can dance. It's not a job. It's an art form. So I've been taught on the structural level, and I dance natural also. This is my partner, Leslie. I'm going to talk about her for a little bit because it ain't all about me. Without her, I could not do this dance by myself. So when I hold her hand and we start off, it's something that she sent to me. Come on, Louis, get it right. Get it right. People watching us. And so when I wake up in the morning, it's showtime. When I dance with Leslie, it's showtime. And people always want to say, keep it simple. I try. It's hard to do. Keep it stuff simple. Like this dance here, people in Baltimore have so many artistic talent that you got to be able to move, groove, and do something different, or they'll get bored real quick. So when I throw Leslie up in the air, and she does all kind of stuff while she's up in the air, sliding down my back, coming between my legs, doing multiple turns, it excites the crowd. And it's phenomenal when we go to different states and people see us dance, they say, oh my God, where did y'all learn how to do that? Baltimore City. Because they think there is no artistical dancing here. Well, I'm here to tell you, there is. And this is my partner. I want her to speak on my behalf because she got some things she want to talk about, where we've traveled, where we've been, and where we're going.
Well, I'd just like to say that hand dancing is such a natural art form, and we've enjoyed taking it outside of Baltimore. We just finished competing at the U.S. Open, and we placed second. We are the only African-American couple to compete in at the U.S. Open. There's another couple that's here. Anthony Jones and Linda Allen are here, and we enjoy doing this dance. We enjoy interacting with dancers from all of the other venues, Shag, West Coast, East Coast, Lindy Hop, and they particularly like seeing us do hand dancing from Baltimore City. So I just want to say, and Louis Neal is a fantastic partner, and he represents Baltimore and hand dancing so well on the national and the international stage. And that's pretty much what I wanted to say about hand dancing and Louis. And a lot of our friends are out here. Frank Ross, actually, can I get them to stand? So we have hand dancers in the room. That's Frank Ross, who is a dance historian. That's Al Johnson. That's Linda Jones. Linda Allen, Figgy Jones. I'm sorry. And so they're representative of where hand dance has been and where it's going.
last but not least, Shirley Duncan couldn't be here, and Reggie Thomas. They are pioneers also in the hand dance community. So if I've forgotten anybody, please forgive me. And hopefully, Mr. Jack Young, if he wanted us to show you a little bit of what we do, we will. It's up to him. Because I tried to teach him one time.
If you wait until, if y'all going to be here after our meeting, we'll be happy to do that.
Okay.
If you want to do that.
And
Thank
I
you.
want to thank you for inviting us here. This is the biggest opportunity in my life. It's been a long time coming. And let me stand straight up because I am a 20-year-old veteran. And this dance is great for everybody. You can do it all of your life.
Thank you very much. And thank you to my mom for coming also. She's back there. And this is such a wonderful moment for me and our friends.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mallory and Mr. Lewis, for coming to talk about how important hand dancing is in Baltimore. It is the council custom to generalize the invocation. Ask for a motion to generalize the prayer. Motion by Councilman Costello, second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of generalizing the prayer say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. We'll now proceed with the adoption of the journal.
Mr. President, the journal of the proceedings from the November 17th City Council meeting is on the council members' desks.
Is there a motion to approve the journal? Motion by Councilman Kern, second by Councilman Welch. All those in favor of adopting the journal say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried and the journal is adopted. Communication from the mayor. The members can find 2 communications from the mayor attached to the agenda as Appendix A and B. Those are the 2 vetoes of the plastic bag bill and the video camera bill. Bill signed by the mayor can be found on page 2 to 3 of the agenda. Executive nomination.
EA 14-0256, Henry J. Raymond, Member, Parking Authority Board.
This has been assigned to the Executive Appointments Committee. Bills will be introduced.
City Council Bill 14-0457, Employees Retirement System Retirement Savings Plan Clarifications, ordinance for the purpose of clarifying certain reemployment rules for Class D members of the Employees Retirement System, characterizing the retirement savings plan more specifically, changing the composition of the plan's Board of Trustees, providing that members may elect to invest non-vested employer contributions in certain investment funds, clarifying the plan's matching contribution formula, providing a special rule for certain plan death benefits, providing for a special effective date, and generally relating to the Employees Retirement System and Retirement Savings Plan. Sponsor, City Council President, on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0458, release of an easement, 414 Light Street, ordinance for the purpose of authorizing the mayor and City Council of Baltimore to release an easement pertaining to the certain property known as 414 Light Street, the easement being no longer needed for public use, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor, City Council President, on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0459, city streets closing certain alleys in the area bounded by West 29th Street, Fox Street, West 28th Street, and Huntington Avenue. Ordinance for the purpose of condemning and closing a 3-foot alley and a 4-foot alley in an area bounded by West 29th Street, Fox Street, West 28th Street, and Huntington Avenue, as shown on Plat 309A 27A, in the Office of Department of General Services, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor, City Council President, on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Community Development Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0460, city streets opening certain alleys in an area bounded by West 29th Street, Fox Street, West 28th Street, and Huntington Avenue. Ordinance for the purpose of condemning and opening a 3-foot alley and a 4-foot alley in the area bounded by West 29th Street, Fox Street, West 28th Street, and Huntington Avenue, as shown on Plat 309A 27A in the Office of Department of General Services, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor, City Council President, on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned, which one was that? This has been assigned to the Housing Community Development Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0461, sale of property, former beds of a 3-foot alley and 4-foot alley bounded by West 29th Street, Fox Street, West 28th Street, and Huntington Avenue. Ordinance for the purpose of authorizing the mayor and City Council of Baltimore to sell at either public or private sale all its interest in a certain property known as the former beds of a 3-foot alley and 4-foot alley bounded by West 29th Street, Fox Street, West 28th Street and Huntington Avenue, and no longer needed for public use, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor, City Council President, on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0462, Guilford RPP Area Amendment, ordinance for the purpose of including 2 additional properties within the Guilford Residential Permit Parking Area. Sponsor, Clark.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Community Development Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0463, rezoning a portion of 3901 Buena Vista Avenue. Ordinance for the purpose of changing the zoning for a portion of property known as 3901 Buena Vista Avenue, as outlined and read in the accompanying plat, from an M11 zoning district to an R7 zoning district. Sponsor, Mosby.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0464, Hotels Human Trafficking Prevention, ordinance for the purpose of requiring the registration of all hotels in the city, prohibiting hotels from renting out sleeping accommodations for a period less than half a day, requiring that all hotel employees receive training on how to identify human trafficking activities and human trafficking victims, requiring hotels to certify that all employees have been given anti-human trafficking training, defining certain terms, providing for certain penalties, and generally relating to the operations of hotels in Baltimore City. Sponsor, Kraft, Curran, Branch, Middleton, Clark.
Please note that Councilwoman Spector is a co-sponsor, Councilman Welch is a co-sponsor, Councilman Mosby, Councilman Henry, and Councilman Scott as co-sponsors. Chair recognizes Councilman Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, an ever-growing problem on the national and international level is the problem of human trafficking. The most common way that this is manifesting itself in areas such as ours is where young women are taken, forced into prostitution, used for prostitution for an hour or two in hotels, motels, then taken from that area, taken from one city to another city, taken from one area of the country to another area of the country, and then taken from one country to another country, sometimes within the same day, sometimes within a matter of days. What this would do would prohibit renting rooms by the hour in the city of Baltimore. It would also require all hotels to give training in human trafficking, the signs, what to look for in terms of people coming into rent rooms, look for in terms of the victims and who may be potential victims. I think that this is something that is being done all around the country. This law is in effect in Prince George's County. I think that it would be of great effect here in the city of Baltimore. I would ask for, thank my co-sponsors and ask for those who haven't joined to join with us.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Spector.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to advise the City Council Secretary that the churches have made a big effort to try to get their arms around this. So when we refer this bill out, please be in touch with the national church organizations. They're working on this. I'm aware of it, and they would be able to share a lot of good information with us.
Thank you. This has been assigned to the Judiciary and Legislative Investigation Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0465, Community Legacy Project Application, Govans Ecumenical Development Corporation, ordinance for the purpose of approving the Sustainable Communities Plan and application and receipt of financing for a community legacy project by the Govans Ecumenical Development Corporation, further described in the community legacy application, either directly by the Department of Housing and Community Development of the State of Maryland or through other departments or agencies of the State of Maryland, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor, Clark, President Young, Curran, Stokes, Branch.
Please note Councilman Welch is a co-sponsor. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, GEDCO, Govans Ecumenical Development Corporation, provides affordable housing throughout many districts in Baltimore City. This is, as you can see, they require, the state requires not only a resolution, but a hearing on that resolution before the vote. And thank you for the co-sponsorship, and I hope for a hearing in January so we can approve this resolution and get it to the state of Maryland for this legacy grant for more affordable housing. We need so much more than we have. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee. Chair recognizes Councilman Henry. Oh, you was co-sponsor? Okay. Please note that Councilman Henry as a co-sponsor. Chair recognizes Councilman Mosby. Oh, you co-sponsor? Okay. Councilman Scott?
City Council Bill 14-0466, rezoning 1209 North Rose Street, ordinance for the purpose of changing the zoning for the property known as 1209 North Rose Street as outlined in red in the accompanying plat from the R7 zoning district to the R8 zoning district. Sponsor Branch.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Spector.
Thank you, Mr. President. I spoke with our colleague from the 13th District this morning, and because they've been through so much on this bill, trying to get it to today, that it's going to be on the December 18th agenda for the Planning Commission so we can act on it as soon as we come back.
Resolution to be introduced.
City Council Resolution 14-0198R, National Homeless Persons Memorial Day, December 21st, 2014. Resolution for the purpose of recognizing December 21st, 2014 as National Homeless Persons Memorial Day in Baltimore City to bring attention to the struggle of people experiencing homelessness, to mourn the passing of our neighbors who in life lack stable housing, and to rededicate ourselves to ending the conditions that create and maintain homelessness, poverty, a dearth of housing availability to low-income households, and the lack of health and supportive services. Sponsor, Clark, President Young, Scott, Curran, Kraft, Branch, Middleton, Costello, Stokes.
Please note Councilman Henry is a co-sponsor, Councilman Mosley is a co-sponsor, and Councilman Welch is co-sponsor, Councilwoman Spector as a co-sponsor. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Clark.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, members of the council. December 21st is the longest night of the year. That is why every year on December 21st, homeless advocates and the homeless themselves especially remember and hold a memorial service for those homeless persons who have died in the preceding year. This is a great Baltimore tradition and a great tradition among our homeless community as well as the advocacy community. This year, as always, it will be held at the Inner Harbor Amphitheater right there at Pratt and Light Streets. It will be held at 5 p.m. It will already be dark, and we'll be lighting candles and calling out the names of each and every homeless person who has died in the previous year. I'd like to acknowledge our guests this evening who are here from Healthcare for the Homeless. Ask that they would stand up, please, to be acknowledged. Very instrumental in putting this memorial service together. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Clark, you going to move to suspend the rules?
I forgot. I've lost myself in the issue. I'd like to move to suspend the rules to permit immediate adoption.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of suspending rules for immediate adoption of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The rules are suspended. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move for immediate adoption of this resolution.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of adopting resolution 14-0198R, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carried and this resolution is adopted.
I would ask that members of the City Council join with me at 5 o'clock on the 21st, if at all possible, because this resolution will be part of the ceremony, and as many of us as possible should be there to announce it and to read it. Thank you.
City Council Resolution 14-0199R, informational hearing, HABC participation in the Federal Rental Assistance Demonstration Project. Resolution for the purpose of calling on the Housing Commissioner, Paul Graziano, and the staff of the Housing Authority of Baltimore City to reappear before the City Council to further discuss RAD's progress in Baltimore, answer any outstanding questions, and provide documentation memorializing answers and assertions provided at the hearing in March. Sponsor Henry, President Young, Scott, Curran, Kraft, Branch, Middleton, Costello, Clark.
Please note Councilman Welch as a co-sponsor. Chair recognizes Councilman Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. As many of us will recall, the Commissioner and his staff appeared before the Housing and Community Development Committee back in March to explain a lot of the questions that people had about how the RAD program would work. We had agreed at that time that the Commissioner would return to the committee when more work had proceeded, and they were able to take some of the answers that were being given verbally at the hearing and turn them into documentation that would be memorialized so that in the future, if anybody ever wanted to go back and say, well, how was this supposed to work, we'd have something in writing to refer back to. And I think it was just my error, Mr. President. I must have said that the hearing was adjourned instead of that it was recessed, because we went into the computer to talk about rescheduling that, and it turned out that it was closed out. So we're putting in a new resolution. I will be scheduling a hearing in January. We're still nailing down the exact date to make sure that everybody can be there, but I hope to announce that hearing at our January 12th meeting.
Okay, thank you. This has been this. Oh, please note Councilwoman Spector and Councilman Mosby as co-sponsors. This has been assigned to the Housing. Huh? Oh. Okay, this has been assigned to the Housing and Community Development Committee. He's already on it. You can find the consent calendar in Section A at the back of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Chair recognizes Councilman Kern.
Mr. President, before I move the approval of the consent calendar, with sadness I rise to bring notice of two consent resolutions. First one is Consent Resolution 4710. That is the resolution to the family of Lieutenant James Bethia. Lieutenant Bethia, 40-year veteran of our fire department, succumbed to injuries during a fire investigation. It was a constituent of mine in the 3rd District, and I met him on a few occasions up on Hartford Road. Mr. President, colleagues, the entity known as Mayor and City Council is only as good as the resources of the human resources of the folks that work for us in the city government and in things of the fire department and other agencies. And Lieutenant Bethia, his career with the fire department, I think, spanned almost 4 decades. It was heartwarming to see over at the Wally Funeral Home, when I paid my respects to the wife, the parents, and to the sister, that the lineup of fire suppression units outside and the medic units outside and all the folks, the continuous line to pay the respects to the family from his brothers and sisters in the fire department was very heartwarming. Mm-hmm. And Lieutenant Bethia will be missed very much. And the other consent resolution, it's sad for me to bring notice to, was Consent Resolution 4221. It's for a gentleman by the name of Carl Dix, which is a name not well known to folks here, but I know the chief of staff over there and others know Carl for many years up in Northeast Baltimore. He was a sanitation supervisor in a borough. We have several, like 20-some boroughs in the city. He was a sanitation supervisor in a borough. But he was much more than that. He was more of a politician than I'll ever be. He was able to resolve conflicts with the constituency before the complaints were even on the computers of 311. And he was just a guy that I would call, used many, many times. And it was so heartwarming to see that at the viewing up at the Parkview Funeral Home on that Sunday before the memorial service, which I spoke at, it was hundreds of his co-workers from Solid Waste, DPW. So we're going to miss both Lieutenant Bethia and Carl Dix. I'm going to miss Carl Dix personally because he was a good friend too. But we're only as good as the people that work for the city, Mr. President, and the colleagues. And these two gentlemen were a perfect example of what's really good about our employees that work for us. So I'd like to ask for a moment of silence tonight for Lieutenant Bethia and for Carl Dix at the end of the meeting. And I move the consent calendar.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried and this calendar is approved. Chair recognizes Councilman Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to extend floor privileges to my special guest, Lily DeBell.
Second by Councilman Kern. All those in favor of extending floor privileges to Lily DeBell say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried and your guest may take the floor.
Mr. President, my 4 years back, this is the first time I've ever brought anybody onto the council floor. And I was so very proud to be able to do it today. Lily is an 8th grader at Roland Park Elementary Middle School. She has the good fortune of living in the 12th Council District, of course. And so Lily participates in the NIFTY, which is a Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. Is a project in most of the city public schools, which teach young people about business, entrepreneurship. They actually have to do a business plan, and then, in most cases, actually implement the business plan. And then, to be quick about it, Lily put together a special business plan, which is called Lily's Leg Warmers. The leg warmers are all natural, handmade, customizable dance wear for young dancers. Are you wearing? No, she's not. Okay. Anyway, we'll give you her web page in a little bit to move forward. Lily won locally in terms of the competition for this particular NIFTY program. And then, against 40 finalists from the country, almost all of whom were college or high school age, remember Lily is an 8th grader, she won the national title, the national prize. Mom and her siblings are here also, 2 sisters. And the prize package included $5,000, a $5,000 college scholarship, and a variety of business and technical products and services totaling approximately $25,000. And so we're so proud of Lily. And we have a resolution. All of you know what it says. But we do present it to Lily DeBell here this evening, and God bless, and the best of everything to you. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. We'll now move the bills on second reader. Chair recognizes Councilman Scott.
Mr. President, I make a motion to read short titles for the remainder of the meeting.
Second by Councilman Kern. All those in favor of short title for the remainder of the hearing, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Health Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0442, Animal Control and Protection, Impoundment Reform.
Chair recognizes Councilman Kern.
President, the Health Committee met on November 18th, 2014, for this issue, which was the bill that I put in August had some technical flaws, some equal protection under the law issues, and we had to pull that. We went back in, and after September, after the holidays, we come back in September and put the bill back in. What this actually does is helps expedite the hearing process where vicious animals and dangerous animals, dogs particularly, I don't know about dangerous cats, I have one at home, but the dangerous dogs and they're stored at barks for a long period of time become a issue for their own health, the health and welfare of the folks that handle these animals and the other animals themselves. So this sort of expedites the process, so we get an early disposition on that so that cages can be released to have the vacancy of the cages for animals that can be domesticized and adopted out versus them being euthanized and having to store these vicious and dangerous animals. So with that being said, there is an amendment, a technical amendment on my colleague's desk. I move the amendment favorable.
Second by Councilwoman Clark. All those in favor of approving the amendment say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. The amendments are adopted. Chair recognizes Councilman Kern.
Mr. President, I move City Council Ordinance 14-0442 favorably as amended.
Second by Councilwoman Clark. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Housing and Community Development Committee.
City Council Bill 13-0293, Unsafe Vacant Structure.
Chair recognizes Councilman Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually got caught by I was expecting the longer title. I forgot we moved for short titles. This bill was originally introduced over a year ago. We've spent the last year mainly negotiating with the other agencies in city government to come up with the most effective way for this bill to work. And over the last few weeks, we've also included advocates from outside city government. I'm happy to report that we've come up with a version of the bill that everybody can be comfortable with, and which we're still confident will be an incredible tool for the housing department to use in eliminating blights in our neighborhoods. I want to thank the Housing Community Development Committee members for going through many iterations of this bill over the last several weeks, and I'd like to move the amendments that we have on our desks favorable.
Second by Councilwoman Clark. All those in favor of approving the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. The amendments are adopted. Chair recognizes Councilman Henry.
I move the bill favorably as amended.
Second by Councilwoman Clark. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion to approve this bill moves to third reader.
Thank you.
Judiciary and Legislative Investigation Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0436, official city slogan, Baltimore, birthplace of the Star Spangled Banner.
Chair recognizes Councilman Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we actually passed a resolution supporting this back when we were doing the bicentennial in September. We had the hearing on the legislation on Tuesday, November 18th. Bill was reported out favorably. Move the bill favorably.
Second by Councilman Costello. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 14-0428, rezoning a portion of 2051 South Hanover Street.
Chair recognizes Councilman Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, there are findings of fact on the member's desk. I would move the findings of fact at this time.
Second by Councilman Costello. All those in favor of approving the finding of facts say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion to approve the finding of facts are adopted. Chair recognizes Councilman Kraft.
There's an amendment from the committee on the member's desk. I move the amendment at this time.
Second by Councilman Costello. All those in favor of approving the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. The amendments are adopted. Chair recognizes Councilman Kraft.
Mr. President, move the bill favorably as amended.
Second by Councilman Costello. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Third reader for final passage.
City Council Bill 14-0332, city streets closing portion of 62nd Street. President Young, Kraft, Scott, Curran, Henry, Spector, Middleton, Mosby, Costello, Welsh, Branch, Stokes, Clark.
This bill is approved.
City Council Bill 14-0379, Plant U Development Designation, Remington Row. President Young, Kraft, Scott, Curran, Henry, Spector, Middleton, Mosby, Costello, Welsh, Branch, Stokes, Clark.
This bill is approved.
City Council Bill 14-0405, sale of property, 700 North Utah Street. President Young, Kraft, Curran, Henry, Spector, Middleton, Mosby, Costello, Welsh, Branch, Stokes, Clark.
This bill is approved.
City Council Bill 14-0422, sale of property, 5,000 Gwen Oak Avenue. President Young, Kraft, Curran, Henry, Spector, Middleton, Mosby, Costello, Welsh, Branch, Stokes, Clark.
This bill is approved.
City Council Bill 14-0423, sale of property, 720 Pennsylvania Avenue. President Young, Kraft, Curran, Henry, Spector, Middleton, Mosby, Costello, Welsh, Branch, Stokes, Clark.
This bill is approved.
City Council Bill 14-0429, sale of property, former bed of Will Street. President Young, Kraft, Curran, Henry, Spector, Middleton, Mosby, Costello, Welsh, Branch, Stokes, Clark.
This bill is approved.
City Council Bill 14-0441, non-owner occupied dwellings, rooming houses, and vacant structure. City Council access to registration statements. President Young, Kraft, Curran, Henry, Spector, Middleton, Mosby, Welsh, Costello, Branch, Stokes, Clark.
This bill is approved. Bills to be withdrawn.
City Council Bill 11-0006, city streets closing portion of 62nd Street.
Committee announcements. Chair recognizes Councilman Kern.
The reader read the wrong title for the bill, Mr. President. I've been dealing with this issue for 4 years, so I want to make sure you get the right.
Okay.
11-0006, zoning, conditional use banquet hall, 5003 Richard Avenue.
All right. Committee announcements. Committee announcement, no committee announcements. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Urban Affairs and Aging Committee will hear City Council Bill 14-0454 on January 29th, 2015 at 4 p.m. here in Council Chambers. It's the Urban Renewal Inner Harbor Project 1 Amendment. And then we will also hear City Council Bill 14-0449 on January 29th, 2015 at 4:10 p.m. here in Council Chambers, and it's the Urban Renewal Cold Spring Neighborhood Development Program Amendment.
Chair recognizes Councilman Kern.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Health Committee will be busy over our holiday break on Tuesday, December 16th. The Health Committee will have an informational hearing for the non-therapeutic use of antibiotics in livestock, sponsored by my good gentleman from the 7th District. It's for the purpose of requesting a statewide and national ban on non-therapeutic uses of antibiotics in livestock production, supporting the enactment of the Protection of the Antibiotics for Medical Treatment Act. So that will have a hearing on Tuesday, December 16th at 1 o'clock in the Dew Burns Chambers. And immediately following that, on Tuesday, December 16th at 1:30 in Council Chambers, we will have the continuation of the food service facilities public notification of inspection grades for the purpose of establishing a program for grading and posting the results of food service facility inspection grades. This will be a continuation of the work session, and this particular part of the work session will have the Restaurant Association and the supermarket associations come in with their point of views and maybe possible amendments to the legislation, because we heard that the health department and the law department had their amendments, and I wasn't going to go all day long. This is the public posting of food grades for inspections, sponsored by the gentleman from the 2nd District. That's both on December 16th. On January 6th, it's going to have the last work session and voting session for the food service facility public notice of inspection grades. That will happen on January 6th at 1 o'clock. I got to read the bill number. The bill number for the antibiotics livestock is a City Council Resolution 14-0194R, and for the health inspections, it's City Council Ordinance 12-0121. On January 6th, Health Committee will have its final work session and voting session to come out of the committee and to present to the full council the issue of food grade inspections of the restaurants that the health department sanitarians make the inspections, the grades be posted. So I want to alert the health committee that we're going to have the final push to have it come to the floor and let the council as a whole have its wisdom done. So that's on January 6th, also at 1 o'clock.
Chair, that's Councilman Kraft.
Mr. President, the Judiciary and Legislative Investigations Committee will reconvene the taking of testimony in the investigation on the cost of the speed and red light camera program on Thursday, December 11th, 2014, here in the council chambers at 1 p.m. We will be hearing from witnesses from the Baltimore City Police Department and from the Department of Transportation on that day. That hearing will reconvene the taking of testimony of witnesses on Wednesday, December 17th at 2014 at 11 a.m. here in the council chambers. We will continue the taking testimony from anyone from Department of Transportation that we do not finish on the 11th. We also will be taking testimony from witnesses from Xerox and from the Office of Law, Law Department. Mr. President, based upon the findings that were released today by the Office of the Inspector General, we will be issuing further summons after the first of the year for additional testimony based on findings in that report. The Judiciary and Legislative Investigations Committee will hear Bill number 140418, Alligating and Greening Program, on Tuesday, January 13th, 2015, at 10 o'clock a.m. here in the council chambers. Mr. President, I move to suspend the appropriate rules to announce a hearing.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of suspend the rules, announce the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Chair recognizes Councilman Kraft.
Mr. President, the Land Use and Transportation Committee will hear Council Bill 140462, Guilford RPP Area Amendment, on January the 21st, 2015 at 1 p.m. here in the council chambers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Committee announcements. Chair recognizes Councilman Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Two announcements, actually, for Taxation, Finance, Economic Development. The first is Bill 14-0192R for January 15 at 10 a.m. here in Chambers. The investigative hearing on the Charm City Circulator for the purpose of calling on representatives from the Departments of Finance and Transportation to appear before the council to report on the cost and ridership numbers for the Charm City Circulators, as well as whether or not the revenue sources originally intended to pay for the circulator operations have proven to be sufficient, and to discuss the contents of the RFP to operate the circulator in future years, including the possibility of requiring a $1 fare for each circulator ride. That will be in Chambers January 15th at 10 a.m. Secondly, Council Bill 14-0196R is also an investigative hearing. It's on the charter required agency audits, sponsored by my colleague, Councilman Costello. We will hear that at 10:30 a.m. January 15, 2014, also here in Chambers. We will have a special birthday cake for Kara Kuntz on that particular day also. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more committee announcements? Okay. Regular announcements. Before anybody say anything, the final 2015 schedule and updated committee list is on the council people's desk. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. The hat that I'm wearing that says A+ stands for Abbotston Elementary School, which is under threat of being closed after 83 years of stellar educational services to the children of Chum and Better Waverly. This is a small school, but small is powerful. When I first served in this council, I walked in to be greeted by then Councilwoman, now U.S. Senator Barbara A. Mikulski. She was then and is now under 5 feet tall, but no more powerful woman have I ever met. This school is like that. It has successfully educated our children for 83 years, back before desegregation, in that whole part of the city. If you were a African-American child, it was Abbotston you went to because the other schools around would not take you. And so today they are being proposed for closing very late in the day. They weren't on any early list whatsoever. They just popped up. They're about 40 students short of capacity. They have higher scores than surrounding schools. They have higher school climate scores than surrounding schools, and the surrounding schools are good, but they are exceptional. All they need is one pre-K new classroom, and they will develop their capacity within 2 years by those pre-Ks move up the ladder through 5th grade. It is wrong to try to close this school, which, by the way, in this era of fiscal responsibility, was just rehabilitated and moved back into in 2004, 10 years ago. The whole building used to be Abbotston's. The rehabilitation moved them into half the building, and it's now shared with Stadium Middle School. So the school was designed for Abbotston, smaller classrooms for little children. And really what it's all about is that someone can't count. And they think that Waverly up the street is at only 50% capacity. And oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Count right. We are at 72% of capacity, and that building is still being constructed up the street. Ridiculous. And so this is how we're spending our holidays. All I want for Christmas is Abbotston to go on as it should.
Thank you. We're going to go back to committee announcements. Chair recognizes Councilman Welch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Executive appointments will hold a hearing on Wednesday, December 17th, 10 a.m. in council chambers to hear the appointment of Henry J. Member as a member of the Parking Authority Board of Baltimore City.
Thank you. Before I recognize Councilwoman Middleton, I want to again welcome our city state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby. If you could please stand. And I also like to recognize Delegate Nathaniel Oakes, who have joined us. Would you please stand? Works very hard for us down in Annapolis. Announcements. Chair recognizes Councilman Welch.
Thank you, Mr. President. This Wednesday, December 10th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Alexander Hamilton School, located on the corner of Poplar Grove and Landval, we will be holding our second in a series of town meetings called How the City Works. At this meeting, we will be addressing warm needs for the winter months, the weatherization programs, and a number of services that will be issued and available to the citizens of Baltimore City. And if a citizen qualifies, they'll be able to leave the room with an application that will qualify them for a free furnace, free roof, free windows, free doors, free lighting in their homes, and a number of other services free, almost rebuilding their house at this particular work session. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Two announcements. The first one, as well, we have a school in the 6th District that has been moved up to close, an elementary school, Langston Hughes Elementary, that sits in Park Heights on the corner of Reisterstown Road in its own little secluded area. And as you know, Park Heights is going through a major revitalization, and the school sits on a corner that is, the school is basically the heartbeat of that area, and it's an elementary school, and it's, if you close the school, it's a safety factor. These are elementary kids that would have to walk more than a mile. It was slated to close later, but they moved it up. The students are performing wonderfully. The environment is just so giving. It's a clean school. We also have the 41st District that is working with me, and Delegate Nathaniel Oakes was at the board meeting, the school board meeting, testifying as well to how important it is. This is not the time to close the school. So they have to start rethinking on how they're making the decisions on school closures. And Langston Hughes has a great history as well. This would be so detrimental to that part of Park Heights. It's so many abandoned houses and so on in the area. The school is used for other uses. It's just it's all the community has. So please reconsider the closure at this time of Langston Hughes Elementary. And on another note, we had the wonderful showcase today for the Baltimore for dancing, hand dancing, and I just wanted to add an announcement for them that over the holidays, if people are looking for things to do, they do hand dancing from 6 to 10 p.m. at Identity Lounge, 8521 Liberty Road.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Kern and Councilman Kraft. You got announcements?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to stand and join my colleague from the 14th District on Abbotston. Prior to single-member districts, I represented Chum and Abbotston. And it was a great school back then before it was refurbished, so I haven't been back since it's been refurbished, but I knew it was a very important cog in that community. And I hope that the council will be successful and keep preventing from closing. I mean, it used to be called, there was a nickname for Abbotston. Little City College, and because the construction is exactly almost the same as the structure for the Black Knights on the hill, the tower on the hill. So good luck to you and Abbotston out there. And I just want to wish all my constituents, this is the last meeting before the first of the year, to have a happy and safe new year, and to remember the reason for the season coming up in the next few weeks, the birth of our Savior, and to keep Christ in your mind during the holiday season. And it's all about family during holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, about family. Family comes first, and I want to say to my wife, hopefully that have another year of better health, and to the rest of our family, our families, and our colleagues here in my family, have a nice and happy holiday season.
I'm going to go back over this side. Councilman Costello.
Two quick events. First one is tomorrow evening. Jane Worley, a local philanthropist, is putting on an event, the Loop Gala. It's benefiting local organizations that service veterans, 5 to 9 p.m. at Mothers in Federal Hill. The second one is next Friday at Midtown Barbecue. Delegate-elect Antonio Hayes and myself will be hosting an event there. It's a fundraiser for Toys for Tots. Hope to see some of you out there. Thank you.
Okay, while we're on Toys for Tots, December the 11th from 5 to 8, we're having Toys for Tots is our third year. The first year we did a truck and a half. The second one we did 2, and we're hoping to do 3 this year. So I'm asking everyone that want to come to bring a new toy, and we have plenty of food by all the restaurants that have donated food, and looking forward to seeing all of you. Chair recognizes Councilman Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we have a lot of events going on in Southeast as we start the holiday season. It kicks off tomorrow night in Highlandtown with the annual lighting of the Christmas tree in the heart of Highlandtown, right next to the Frank Zappa statue at 6 o'clock, and the opening of the Highlandtown Train Garden at Engine 41. So if you're free and you haven't seen the Highlandtown Train Garden, which takes up one whole bay of the firehouse, it's like over on the Councilwoman Spector side in cross country. There are 2 of them in the city now. They've had theirs for years, and we started ours about 6 years ago. We also have the tree lighting in Little Italy tomorrow night and in Fells Point this weekend. So please join us down in Southeast over the coming days. I also would like to join Councilman Curran and wish all of our colleagues and all of the folks in our district happy holidays. We have a lot of people traveling over the next 3 or 4 weeks with Christmas and New Year's, Hanukkah, all these other holidays that are going to come through here. We have a lot of them in Southeast who are just going to be going 3 blocks from one bar to another bar. I ask them, don't drive. Walk, get a cab, have your friends do it, because you do want to be around for Christmas and you do want to be around for the New Year. So be careful, be safe, enjoy the holidays. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any more announcements? Chair recognizes Councilman Kraft.
Thank you. Mr. President, the next meeting of the City Council will be held on Monday, January 12th, 2015 at 5 p.m. I ask for a moment of silence for Lieutenant James Bethia of the Baltimore City Fire Department and for Mr. Carl Dix, a solid waste sanitation supervisor.
Before we have the moment of silence, I want to recognize Angel Petty from NAF Academy and Eddie Hawkins Jr. from City College Altu Pages. There have been no more business before this body. This concludes the 78th meeting of the 71st term of the Baltimore City Council. Good night.